Now, there's an article from the UK column that touches on this, and I've gone through some of these organizations now that work with governments on psychological warfare on your old brain box, and governments are really into it big time. Always have been, mind you, but they're really rolling ahead. So this is the UK column, and you'll find out at theukcolumn.org, and it's issue 1, 2011. On page 11, it says, on 3rd of January 2011, following the UK column's lead article exposing insider dealing between the Cabinet Office, that's the upper political bunch, they split them into cabinets, and political behavioural training charity Common Purpose, the Independent newspaper revealed that David Cameron had also set up a Cabinet Office Behavioural Insight Team, and I gave the government website on that too. I've got it in my archives section. Behavioural Insight Team. Formed in July last year, the secretive cell is tasked to dream up psychological tricks to alter our behaviour and on a massive scale. The Independent article warned how the public is to be reframed, they call it, or nudged, as Sunstein talks about it, into politically acceptable social norms, new normals, starting with healthy eating. Now, healthy eating is your GMO food and vegetarianism, of course. Voluntary work and tax gathering. You have to be trained to help the environment through excessive taxing, and you're going to be trained to feel good about doing it. While this may seem innocent to some people, these early soft targets are already being greatly expanded to include wider central government ideological and political agendas, including Cameron's socialist straitjacket of the big society, as he calls it, as a supposedly decentralized authority down to the local level, and then that's where big business in your area takes over and runs your councils, the new councils. Elite multi-millionaire socialist and Tory Chancellor George Osborne has already signed up behavioural economics, another form of mental reframing of individuals and groups specifically to achieve political economic objectives. Their theory and intent is that once mentally retrained, we will willingly rush to pay excessive taxes. And that's no kidding, folks. That comes out of neuroscience and is part of it, behavioural economics. The danger is that we are to be trained to believe what our politicians and public sector, the state, says is right and true. And we will not even be aware that we have been reframed to think so. Never mind the basics, politicians have been proved corrupt, deviant liars. The Soviet Union would have paid in blood and gold for Cameron's political mind control initiative to lock people in a hive mind. Research by the UK column now exposes that Cameron's Liberal and Conservative government coalition is collaborating behind closed doors with similar sinister units in the French government to develop further plans and techniques to change our natural behaviour. The investigation of little-known Rosie Donaghy, who is part of the Behavioural Insight Team under Maud Gus O'Donnell and David Halpern, reveals that Donaghy is a key player and go-between in the mental attack on the British public. Aside from her position as senior advisor with the Cabinet Office Behavioural Insights Team, we really are in the new Soviet, folks. If you don't know, we really are really deeply inside it. She is also a trustee of the Franco-British Council and is involved with the Party of European Socialists based in Brussels. Not surprisingly for her murky role, she even has two names being referred to as Rosalind and her Franco-British guys. Tracking Mrs. Donoghue's path led UK column investigative reporter to discover that on 17th of November 2010, the Franco-British Council had hosted a meeting inside 10 Downing Street, that's where the Prime Minister is, attended by a mix of the Cabinet Behavioural Team and their French counterparts. Alongside Donaghy and others, a key attendee at the secretive meeting was top French mindbender Professor Olivier Houllier, who works directly within French President Sarkozy's private office. The meeting was instigated by Rohan Silva of the Number 10 Policy Unit, following consultation with the Centre for Strategic Analysis of the Prime Minister of France, with the aims of bringing together experts on behaviour economics from France and the UK and to seek cross-fertilisation and generation of concrete proposals through open discussion, and to look at the practical applications for the science of behavioural economics in France and the UK in light of the economic crisis. You're really in the world of Orwell. It's all here. It's all here. Readers should be aware that Rohan Silva is senior policy advisor to David Cameron, and he also sits in advisory for progressive conservatism at Demos. Now, it's amazing, the progressive conservatives, one of their main think tanks is called Demos. Now look into the history of Demos, D-E-M-O-S. It was a top Marxist think tank, still is. For those who don't get it, that capitalism, communism, Capcom is the same thing, run by the same big bankers. There's no doubt an inclination to laugh at the idea that we can be mentally reframed or reprogrammed into new belief systems or patterns of behavior, but clearly these people have not been assembled behind closed doors to play games. A simple click on Google will reveal thousands of NLP training organizations, leadership trainers, and consultancies. They all state that they can and do change people's minds. They earn money from doing so. Meanwhile, whilst NLP and other mental reframing techniques can be used for therapeutic purposes, any technique interfering with the human mind has risks. These may manifest as adverse personality changes, stress, or depression, or even, I'd say that the worst disease of all is political correctness. Stating that behavioral economics can be a powerful tool for improving lives when used with care, the number 10 meeting was clearly aware of the risks to individuals and the wider public, but according to the notes of the meetings released, seemingly failed to discuss or document those risks. The truth of the meeting at number 10 is deeply sinister. Modern behavioral manipulation techniques, which includes NLP, can and do achieve changes in people's behavior, particularly where the victim, individual or group, adult or child, is unaware that they are being targeted. It is perfectly feasible, as that the attendees of the number 10 are fully aware, to implement political agendas and doctrine by reprogramming people. Consider the Hitler Youth or the Communist Chinese onslaught on the minds of children and young people. These latest insidious techniques do not have that raw brutality, but unchecked, their stealth, effectiveness, and viral spread presents a far greater danger. Behavioral reframing for healthy, voluntary work and taxes today and eugenics tomorrow. We have been warned, and that's one of the better articles I've read for a while, because it's absolutely true. And they do constantly bombard you with politically correct messages about everything. They tell you, and in fact the Frankfurt School were the ones who dreamt up all the idea of political correctness, and how they'd lambast anybody who would use a certain term, a word, a phrase, whatever. It didn't matter if the person was right about something. They were to altogether in unison condemn that person with a nasty term to paint them as dirty and bad and so on. And that's how you're trained so easily along the road into political correctness until you're all like dummies together, denying that the sky can be blue, where, of course, you find Bertrand Russell and others said they could actually convince children that the blue sky was black, and that would be, or any Eden snow would be black, and they'd all believe it. That can actually be done. Believe you me, it can be done.